Can you tell us what happened to your father in those days that prompted you to leave Cal?
Oh, yes. My father had a small window screen business, and it was profitable. And he'd been in the business before the Great Depression, and then got back in afterwards. And he had a major heart attack. In fact, it was questionable whether he was going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And when he could, he called me on the phone and asked me to quit school and take over his business.
What year were you, a junior then? A senior?
I was a senior.
Okay.
And there's no way I could refuse. So I did ask him one thing. I said, if I take over managing it, I have to be in complete control. And I wouldn't have done it otherwise, because I might screw it up if somebody else is telling me what to do.
Right.
So he said, okay. And being the great father he was, he never interfered at all. Never. So anyway, I took it over, and after a couple of years, decided that there were two other window screen manufacturers in the Bay Area, much larger than we were. And we could make a little money, but I couldn't see a great future. So after a couple of years, I quit the screen business and did some other stuff for a while, and then bought some machinery, like a 60-ton punch press, to do contract metal work. And you could, if you knew what you were doing, you could make really good money. I built my first home in Orinda off the profits of a contract metalwork job for, I think it was Bechtel.
Mm.
And it didn't pay for the whole home, it just down payment.
Right.
So then you gotta be lucky in this world. One Sunday night the doorbell rang, and this guy says, I'm the brother of your friend here 2 doors away, and I understand you have a punch press. I said, yeah. Well, then maybe you could make a connector for me. So I said, come in. And he did, and I found out that he had a new business of the structures underneath roofs in commercial and industrial buildings like warehouses and shopping centers.
Mm-hmm.
And he had he and another guy had invented a system. And it was a new type of system. Well, I told them all, how many will you buy if I give you the right price? He said, I'll buy 25,000 of them. Oh,
25,000.
Wow. So I talked it over with our plant foreman, and we only had a handful of people there, and decided that we could make it, and we could do something we hadn't done. We could make it automatically. Not make it, put it in a cart, take it to another press, do another operation, do the whole thing.
In the one shop?
One die.
Huh.
Different parts of the die.
Okay.
And it was a risk, because I had never done that before. But I thought we could do that. So anyhow, we got the order for 10 cents a piece, 2,500 bucks. And it went very well. And Warner Odenthal was his name, and Warner paid his bill on time. And then I looked all over the area, Northern California. at lumber yards and hardware stores and found out that when they had any structural connectors, it was the Tico type. And that was a national company, the only one selling such things nationally. They were, but they had two engineers for a sales force. They had very dependable products, really dependable. And two engineers, though, for a sales force. And they did not have any manufacturing plants. They hired the manufacturer around the country.
They outsourced it.
Yes.
I see.
And I looked at those products and thought, you know, I think we could build a brand name here so that we could get specifiers to specify our product and not allow it to be substituted for. Because they were all like the first 2x4 product that we made. I had to buy we could afford a hand little press so we could check out the product. How much pressure it would withstand from this direction and that direction and the other one. And so it looked like you could build confidence in architects and engineers, because if they specified a product that wouldn't hold up, their whole reputation is in trouble and it might collapse a building.
Right.
So it looked like a business where we could establish a brand name and grow it. So shortly thereafter, I did another major contract job, but shortly thereafter I quit everything else and just did construction connectors.
Before the structural connectors that you innovated, before they came into being, how were structures held together?
Well, it was cleverly, I think, they use whatever bunch of pieces of metal that they needed to, an awful lot more than you had in a structural connector.
Yeah.
And they just used screws and nails and everything else and put it together and hope that it would withstand.
Hope and a prayer.
Yeah, right, right.
So you made that first one for Warner, and then you fulfilled the order. And you did some research to find out how big of a market there was for this, and if there was a possibility that you could brand your own brand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
How did you discover that there was in fact a big market out there, possibly to take advantage of?
Oh, just calling on them people. Calling on lumberyards, calling on architects, calling on engineers.
Right.
Just finding out what they were doing, and going to job sites.
Going to job sites.
Yeah, looking at the products on the job site. And it just looked like there were real opportunities.
And in order to get the validation and certification that you sought from architects and engineers, how did that come about? How did that stamp of approval come about?
Well, shortly thereafter, when we really got into the business 100%, why, I bought a press, a test press that wasn't hand, and it would measure the thing on all kinds of directions and so forth. And well, no, this would be much later on, but early on, we just, whenever an architect or engineer would do so, we would invite them to come
To
and
see
watch
for
the
themselves.
test.
The
Yeah.
test.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Now later on, you better have built confidence in you, because what can happen is you tested this product It was code approved 5 years ago.
Did you get a patent, by the way, for it?
Oh, we have more than 100 patents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it was tested, say, 5, 3, 2, 1 year ago. And you're running them again. And you could save a little money there.
Mm-hmm.
Get steel that was just a little thinner. And don't test the product. You didn't have to. It was already approved. So, knowing that that could happen, then it was always our, as we grew and hired people, salespeople, they always knew that you don't give any hogwash to architects, engineers, or contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be absolutely sure that we will never, absolutely never, we're building a long-range company. We'll never cheat on the tests. Never.
Right. Right.
And we never have. And it's why we get specified, and a lot of specifiers won't allow a substitute.
How about that? This, by the way, is a structural connector.
Yes.
Can you explain it for our
No.
audience?
No. I can't. There are, the business, my company office is in Pleasanton, and the nearest factory, it used to be in San Leandro, the first factory and offices, but now Pleasanton, and it's the office, and the factory's in Stockton, and I never go up there, and these products are now much more sophisticated
Right.
than they were for quite a few years. Certainly than they were when I was running the company for 20 years or so. Yes, they got more and more sophisticated, but now we have tool designers who are the best. And it is really a complicated problem to make a complicated product like this one and not take it to one press, punch out all these pieces, put them on some method of transportation, take to the press next door, hit it again and put a whole bunch of bends in it that wasn't in before, and maybe even a third press where you put all the holes in. And no, you put the holes in to start with. But anyway, and the cost compared to one operation is huge. It's huge, the labor cost. So, right from the beginning, I was blind lucky, and I forgot where I met the guy. But his name was Ty Gilb, and he was an architect, but he also had an engineering degree and a bunch of other things. And he was tired of being an architect. And so he agreed to come to work for me designing new products. And he was only with me for 35 years. And Ty was, well, he was a genius. And of course, you handle geniuses lightly. Lightly.
Give them plenty of room.
Yep, plenty of room, and man, did he create great products for us for all those years. And after about 10 years, I guess it was, he had on his own time, this was just before computers, he had on his own time created a measurement for the repair systems of auto dealers.
Mm-hmm. A computerized system for auto
Well, it
dealers.
wasn't computerized because there weren't any computers.
It was before the days of computers, all right.
It was, what would you call it? Well, it was flashes on a screen,
Mm-hmm.
and it was, he was convinced that it was saleable. And so I let him go half-time. I rented an office for him and hired a salesman. He went out and made a lot of calls, and I made a lot with him. And we found out it plain old wasn't saleable. We sold one to a major dealer in San Francisco on Van Ness Avenue, but that was it. And I give Ty a world of credit. His ego didn't get in his way.
Mm-hmm.
He decided along with me that, no, it's not saleable, I'll go back to work full time.
What were some of his successful inventions?
Well, if he was there now, it'd be something like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he would just figure out some kind of a connection needed where there wasn't a good product. And then he'd design it. I sent everybody to the same psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, he realized I was never going to discuss any of this data with anybody. And he started to really tell me interesting things about people.
Oh, yeah?
Before I hired him,
Mm-hmm.
seldom, I examined people so carefully that seldom did I not hire somebody, but I knew more about them so that I could, if necessary, if they were valuable, adjust the job
Mm-hmm.
to them. And he, well, I always knew their IQs. And I tell you, I found out that I wanted a reasonably high IQ for somebody who was going to be a branch manager, say, as we advanced. I started out thinking I'd kind of like 130.
Mm-hmm.
And after a few years, I dropped it down to 125. And didn't even need that. Our best manager for several years was of the first outside branch, which was not Stockton, but right nearby. And he had an IQ of, God, I think it was 105.
Mm-hmm. But he was your best.
He was a super salesman, a super people person.
Right. So IQ is not the best measurement.
No, it sure as hell wasn't. And Ty Gilb had 160. and the psychologist told me, he said he comes out at 160, but there were some things I couldn't measure.
When you took over your father's company, it was called Simpson Screen Company, but soon you changed it to Simpson Manufacturing.
That's when we went into the structural connector business.
And the name of your central core product was born as well, which was Simpson Strong Tie. How did that name come about?
I asked our workers, all of them, not too many, but there weren't many, but to come up with a name. And if your wife or kids, they may have ideas, so give them a chance. And as my recollection is, that name came from the wife of somebody who some years later I had to fire.
Oh, no. It's a good name. It's very succinct and to the point. Simpson Strong
Yes,
Tie.
it's a great name.
Yeah.